Hey, welcome back. We're going to do a chicken, lime and basmati rice all in one pot, and it really is lots of flavour, lots of coriander, a little bit of chilli with a bit of side of zucchini as well. So I'll get you coming around. There's a couple of things I'm going to do here. So I'm using a duck fat, okay? So this duck fat, this is beautiful with roast potatoes, okay? So just really, rather than an oil, you could use an oil, but rather than an oil, it just gives that nice flavour. So let's go about 3 tablespoons of that duck fat, and you can see that broken up beautifully there. Now with this, what I prefer to use is, hi Bobby, chicken thigh rather than chicken breast, because it won't dry out, because you don't want it dry, because it's going to sit in here for some time, so you don't want it to dry out, so I'll use a chicken thigh. Now, just an onion, could be red onion or white onion, putting that in there. Now this takes, again, as I've always say, prep, okay? So there's lots of cutting, lots of getting ready before it, and then it's all just literally in the one pot. So with that onion, I've got a nice tablespoon of garlic, of ginger, the same for a little bit more of garlic, and just letting that sweat off. You don't want it to brown, because you'll get that brown taste of the onion. Bobby, how are you going with that? I'll just turn that up a little bit, down a little bit. It's been really good, absolutely settling right into his roll. Okay, so turn that up a little bit. Now, as I said, with these, just putting them in, and you just want these to sit and cook for a little bit. So we're going to put these in, let it go, and then prepare everything else. So after this, we're going to put in the coconut, the rice, and of course some chicken stock. So the chicken stock is essentially everything that's been soaked up by the rice itself. Now the reason I'm using a basmati rice is I find that if you use a normal rice, it'll become full glug, but the basmati rice is a bit harder rice. There's lots of rice. Of course, you could use a Boreo rice, which will be a gluggier rice. You could use a white rice, you could use a brown rice, you could use a black rice, you could use whatever. We're just going to use the basmati rice, and as I said, it stops it becoming too gluggy. So I'm going to let that settle for a while, let those brown off, and then we'll come back and start to add some of the ingredients. Okay, that's been going for a little while. I'll just put the lid on just to try and get a little bit of heat on. You can see that duck fat is absolutely beautiful, right? They're just about done, and it doesn't matter if they're not yet completely done, because we're going to have this with the rice for a good 20 or so minutes, just simmering away, okay? So let's just now, yeah, that's nice, it's brown enough. Okay, here's what now. Now with the basmati rice, I've washed this a couple of times just to really take that kind of starch out of it. It's not cooked, so we're putting it in, and I've got about 2.5, 3 cups there, close to, which is going to require a lot of liquid, and of course we're putting in a lot of liquid. So we're going to put in chicken stock and a can of coconut milk. I'd use coconut milk, don't use coconut cream. I've been called out with that before. That coconut cream kind of goes a bit greeny yellow. You don't want that, you want it nice and thin. So let's add in, just slowly, some of that chicken stock. You could use water here, but I would prefer, just to give that extra flavour of the chicken stock. Let's just go bit by bit here and stir it through. And this will absolutely expand. This will be beautiful. Now, a couple of those, right? So they're not too hot. Chunk them up so it kind of keeps a lot of the heat together. And some of that, as I mentioned, the coconut milk. Now, with this also, that's perfect. I want to put in a fair chunk of, I might actually even chop this up, some of this coriander. In fact, a lot of this coriander, I've got a few bunches here. So let's really just chop it up. A nice bunch of coriander. Good thing with coriander is, for those that don't know, You can use the stems. There's a lot of flavour in the stems of coriander. Unlike a lot of those other kind of herbs, there's a lot of flavour in the stems themselves. So we're going to go really heavy with that because it's great. Okay, so as I said, this is the one pot. Right, so I'm just literally going to slowly stir that through, make sure we get the right kind of consistency of liquid. I haven't used that whole litre yet, and let's just see how we go. Let's soak that up and keep coming back, giving it a little bit of a stir, stir that coconut milk through, stir the chicken stock through, and as I said, we might actually come back and add a little bit more, depending on how much that rice is soaked up. Get a close up of that, we'll come back a little bit later. Okay, let's have a look at that. That's been going. I added a lot of chicken stock. I ended up using the whole litre of chicken stock. I put probably another 200, 300 mils of just water. That's hot. Just let that sit now. That's absolutely cooked. I want to add some spring onions to that. I'll add that chilli after it's been plated up. And I've also got a little bed of zucchini that have been cooked in butter in the microwave and a bit of pepper. So after that, we'll put a squeeze of lime juice on that, and that's your meal essentially. One pot, chicken, basmati rice, and chicken stock, coconut, and lots of coriander. I'll show you what it looks like shortly.